just want to say thank you for coming on. We really appreciate your time and just taking a little bit of time of your day, out of your day, to just come on and just hang out with us. Talk life and
my pleasure.
Where we're going.
My pleasure, man. As always.
Yeah.
Thank you for both inviting me on here.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
So it's been a while. How many years has it been since we've seen each other as summer scholars, man?
Man, it's been about like 4 or 5.
That's a long time.
It's been like a pretty long time, man. And we met up like freshman year. I was a freshman and you were like a sophomore.
I was sophomore, junior. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, man, just a whole entirely different mindset and just things going on. You know how life is.
So this is like Summer Scholars. This is like a program that we will ahead.
Yeah, so Summer Scholars is basically like, a program where, it allowed, like students from all over like schools in the city, to partake, at, Loyola University, in college classes, and varying and such as living on campus, which is pretty cool concept that I liked it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
And then my job was like basically show them around, like teach them how to like what the college experience is.
Okay.
Yeah, and just like have a good time. We had a lot of fun stories.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Fun story.
Yeah.
All right, and before we get this ball rolling a little harder, so for our viewers and our listeners, unfortunately we got no food again today. We got some coffee over here and some lovely tea for Zane. But yeah. So anyway,
tea is the merrier. That's the new health today.
I know, man. Starbucks. We're still waiting for that sponsorship. Come on, hit us up.
Soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. Anyways, Zane. So just if you don't mind, just give us a quick rundown of who you are, what are you doing, kind of like what's your ambition in life, and kind of where you want to go with life.
Well, so I'll start with me, I'm from, Chicago. I've, lived here, born and raised, and, I'm from the west side of Chicago. I love the west side. The west side is very beautiful. You got to check out MacArthur's. It's a very beautiful, good restaurant. Celebrities and everyone,
Wait, where's this at?
MacArthur's. It's on the west side.
Oh.
It's very famous for its soul food and celebrities and entertainers went there.
I love food, man. I love food.
So if you want to go out there to go check that out, that's really good, man. You can check that out. I went to school on the west side at John Marshall Metropolitan High School. Wasn't the best school. And so, I transferred up until, I wanted to move up on the north side because, it was just, I wanted a different mindset and energy. So I went to Roger C. Sullivan High School. As far as that, it's a very unique, different school. The principal there, his name is Mr. Thomas now, was formerly, Chad Adams. And he's very welcoming and just, it brings a new, interest, perception of how the world is. And my goals and ambition is to join not the military but to serve my community and hopefully in the future open up my own business in construction.
In construction.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope.
That's pretty where I'm going.
That's dope.
What because you also want to go study engineering, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What motivated you to do that?
Well, I don't, Vincent, I don't really see, particular African Americans, into the construction community. So, and then on top of that, I was saying that that's a job that's always, currently going on,
it's needed.
Yeah. And taking the fact for Chicago, it's some of the most, expensive real estate on the planet. So that's a pretty lucrative business to get into, man.
Yeah, that's true. So, man, construction, that's really interesting. I never, thought about it like that, it not being very, a commonplace for African American, you said?
Yeah. There's not really a lot of African American, businessmen in the construction field. There are only about 110. Out of 100,000,
Are you saying running it or?
Yeah, there's only 100. There's only 110.
Okay.
African American businesses, and that's really where the market is really at. You got contractors, that's not just needed in Chicago, but all throughout the U.S. and the world, and my passion, is to show something, for the youth and to other people that, hey, you can use your creative mind and spirit to do something that, is, fun, not the typical, rapper or, your stars, entertaining,
Right.
like, it's like, let me ask you a question, like, when you guys, like, who's your favorite rapper?
I'd say J. Cole.
J. Cole? He's more of a, like, R&B guy.
R&B?
Yeah, he's more R&B.
How about, I like Nipsey.
Yeah.
You see, like, okay, back in the day, like when I was growing up as a kid, just like watching MTV and like their what do you call those little battles they had? I don't know if you recall that stuff.
Like Wild 'N Out.
Before Wild 'N Out stuff came out.
Just like ciphers.
Yeah, was it like ciphers? I can't remember.
Well,
I can't remember the show, but
was it battle rap?
I think it was battle rap.
Yeah, it was battle rap.
There was an Asian guy. Everyone probably knows him. MC Jin.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much seeing that as a kid growing up, I was like, man, this guy's fire.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much, I guess I would say my favorite rapper would be MC Jin.
Is he from the Bay?
I believe so. Yeah, he's from California. Somewhere there.
No, I think he's from Florida.
Is he from Florida?
And then he did a lot of his stuff in New York.
Really?
No, he's in New York now. Right.
One of the coasts.
I thought he was from the. I thought he was from the Bay.
I think he is, because like I remember like a lot of times he would rap about, or when he would rap, I remember I caught a few of his like little snippets on like YouTube as a kid, and yeah, it would always be like in regards to like Cali and stuff like that, from what I remember. So I'm pretty sure it was Cali.
For me, I like any rapper that talk about the community and how they can empower the youth. That's like what I look up to. So yeah, like Chance. I don't know if you count him as a rapper. Do you count him, Chance the rapper, as?
Nah, Chance is more R&B, soul.
Yeah.
He actually mixes it up a lot. Mm-hmm. He's very versatile.
Yeah.
He hangs out with a range of pool of artists. So that's what I really like about Chance.
That's awesome.
Yeah, artists like that. I guess artists like that in general. Yeah. Who do you look up to?
Man, who do I look up, man? Do you guys know who's Immortal Technique?
No.
Immortal Technique. So he's a Latino rapper, and he's very underground. So he's out there. He's from Harlem, and out there in New York.
Yeah.
And he just talks about the world. He's a very deep rapper, and he's very his lyrics are just bomb. He's underground, man. It's one of his shows, man. It's called Dancing with the Devil. And man, if you just listen to that, like that's just going to like, whoa. But he doesn't get a lot of media coverage. He's
he doesn't want that, or?
I think so, and just how his stance about the world, and how he is, and he's just very low key and laid back, the type of guy. He doesn't really want all that. But he's been on Vlad TV though.
Okay.
Is his perspective like it's a dog eat dog world, or like what's his perspective on the
world?
So
it's his perception is about how the world is a dark place, and we have the powers that be, that makes things where it is. Some people might say he's a communist. Some people might say he's a communist, but I mean I don't think he's a communist or a socialist. But I mean it's just like he's telling his perception about how the world really is. Like you guys should really look him up though.
I'll definitely check him out.
Check that guy out.
Would you say his ideas kind of help you shape your own ideas on the world, or what?
No, I mean it's just his like ideas. They, it's something I can relate to. He grew up in in a neighborhood where it was like out there in New York in the 90s and 80s. It was not a joke. Like it was not. It was not a joke. It would make Chicago look like whoa. And it's like so he had to toughen up in a certain way.
Yeah.
And all those cats out there, they had a different rule or principle as I say, and I think that just inspired a lot of people to intake with them. And I really respect that.
Yeah. And speaking of neighborhoods, like I know when we talked before, you said you lived in many neighborhoods in Chicago.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I lived in many different neighborhoods. I lived on West Ridge, which I currently live in now, with such as you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
I live in Edgewater. I lived in probably about 30 of the communities out here, out of the 77 neighborhoods in Chicago. So I lived in Chinatown for a little bit. I lived over there, in South Shore, and Chicago is very segregated, and it's like when you go into a different neighborhood, it's actually its own universe. I don't know if you guys ever like just say for example, do you guys tuck in the red line, and do you ever see like you see the red line, it changes like drastically once you get to State and Lake, and it just gets darker or blacker, as they say.
It gets bleaker.
Yeah. So I had a different intake to learn from different people, and it's not the best, coming out of there, it's going to harden you up in a way where, it can either help you or, make you feel better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But definitely, I do agree. In the transition, right? Just taking the red line, because it really kind of shows you Chicago for what it really is, right? Because if you think about the history of Chicago, towards the southern side where like Bronzeville is and everything like that, and then from Bronzeville you move towards the west side, right, of the city. That's pretty much where, unfortunately, how everything happened, right? It's like we had redlining, we had a lot of segregation, right? And then we just had all these little shanty homes that pretty much the soups or the owners or landlords would just divvy up a normal size apartment and put in multiple residents, right? That's another big thing back in the day, and it's really sad to see that.
And also the Eisenhower, right? The expressway was built to split.
Yeah, it was built. The Eisenhower was built to basically split, the city in half, and also to get people, particular white people out, of the community. There were a lot at that time. They were going to the suburbs. In the early late 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that because of that, it's it's really sad to see that transition, right? Because you're in the north side. Like if you hop on from the red line from Howard, just take that straight down, right? Straight down, past downtown, everything like that. It's pretty nice, decent, not bad, right, along the lakefront. And then when you get past downtown, and then you're entering South Loop, and then you're crossing Chinatown and all that stuff, and then going towards the South Side, it's like, dude, it's a completely different feel and atmosphere in the air.
I was also talking to my friend Nick. I think this is Southside, but Beverly.
Yeah, Beverly.
So around the area, he said when he was growing up, he never experienced gun violence. He'd never seen any gang stuff, and it's because he always just went to school and then he just went back home. And he said when you grow up around there, it's just understanding the times. Obviously you're not gonna be out at 2 a.m. if you don't want to get in trouble, right, or something like that. And then he brought up a good perspective, and he's like, that's the stigma. It's not just the South Side. It's if you're out here in Lincoln Square, you're not. It'll be stupid of you to walk around with your headphones and look at your phone. Someone's gonna jump you, right? So
at 2 a.m.
Yeah, or just at Loyola, even a girl.
You're kind of asking to get, asking to get mugged. Hey, look at me.
Exactly.
I'm in my own little world, just focusing on myself.
Yeah, and he was saying, you Chicago, that's by Hyde Park, and even though there's patrols everywhere at the block, right, each corner of the block, people still feel even though on a college campus that they're safe, and they're walking around with their iPads, this close, they're not aware of their surroundings, they're not alert.
You see, I also feel that's due to the fact that as students, they're doing everything they can to study or do their own thing, and they're just sucked into their own world like that, and then they just kind of forget their surroundings, unfortunately, right? And then that happens. I mean, I can't remember how long ago this was, but it was a few years ago. I remember I was just coming up from I was on I was on Western and Lawrence, the intersection, so kind of by Lincoln Square. And I was just coming up north, right, and I was just passing by Garcia's, which is a pretty good Mexican restaurant. And it was a little scuffle on the side of the street. And I kid you not, this homie just pulled out a gun.
Oh shit.
Broad daylight, freaking everyone was around, pointing at the guy. The guy was instigating, but then the other guy that had the gun didn't shoot,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just like put it away and just continued on the day. I'm like, that was wild.
Is that a cat you guys?
No, I
No,
got,
he
I
got
got ferrets.
He got ferrets.
I'm
You're like, what's that noise?
You know what's funny? Probably all our listeners from our each episode, they're like, "Oh my god, he's gonna mention he has ferrets each time."
Probably.
Because we try to wear them out before we have our guests because they have so much energy.
Oh wow.
I hope he stays asleep. But anyway,
We'll see.
yeah, like even in Argyle, remember that shooting at Starbucks? It's like stuff like that, like neighborhoods. You know, you would think Argyle is like pretty, for the most part, right? It's pretty nice, but things like that can happen.
I mean, yeah.
Actually, no,
It
there's a
happens a
shooting by
lot.
first sip too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it happens everywhere. And I'm not sure why, but I feel like I've gotten a spark to change. Chris and I changed that stigma of Chicago, because like even my cousins from Seattle, they're like, "Yo, Chirac," and I'm like,
I mean,
that's not a thing.
Like, this is a thing that I've discovered and just kind of like going around, like, all big cities are going to have their problems, right? Chicago, LA, New York, Houston. What is he doing?
He's itchy. He's itchy.
But yeah, like, all major cities, all big cities around the world, they're going to have their violence, right? And it's really, you're going to have your shootings. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of a thing with big cities, right?
Right.
If the country itself doesn't have access to guns, or like it's really strictly regulated, there's still gonna be violence with other means,
Right.
no matter what. And we just want to shine a better light into Chicago, right? Because all you hear on the news is just, oh, there was X amount of people shot this year in Chicago. There was a shooting here and there where a stray bullet went through a house, and you hear about it. Unfortunately, killing a family member or something like that, and it's like,
and
it's really
not,
sad.
And
but
it's not. And the thing is about Chicago, it's not that bad as it seems. And people, and that's because that's really by design. That's really because the media, that's where they make their bread and butter at.
Right.
That's just
Just
how
sell
it
the
is.
bad stuff.
They just sell it away, but that's not really these people. In particular, in black communities, these are regular people who work jobs, have communities, and that's only a small percentage of the community. And a lot of people understand like there's good things that happen in the so-called hood. Just for an example,
right? Yeah.
There was I was out there in Garfield Park, and and the church was just giving away school supplies to kids.
And that's awesome, dude. Like that's awesome.
And a lot of people, the news, ABC News isn't highlighting that, or Fox News. No one isn't really highlighting the good things that happen in the neighborhood. These are really people who, generally care. And, I'm not going to lie, there's things that happen that is not pleasant. But, I mean, in Chicago, in a way, you have to, carry yourself a certain way. Don't get me wrong, there's crazy neighborhoods, but it doesn't happen on a consistent basis where we're like in, Syria or Pakistan somewhere, So it's just a way how you carry yourself. And the way, if, look at your surroundings. As I was telling someone who, a couple of months ago who went to Loyola, I say, look, Chicago isn't a bad city. You don't want to step on, you don't want to get on no one's bad side, because there are a lot of people, including so-called civilians who, carry guns.
Yeah.
That one thing, you don't know what that person is going through. That one thing might end up in a bad way, which it might affect or hurt them. And it's just how that is. I went to New York before. New York is like, wow, they're really rude.
They're
really rude. I'm like, I go out there to New York and I'm like, what's going on?
Dude, it's not cool. It's not cool. So like, me and my cousins and a few friends, we actually made a road trip down to New York once. And I kid you not, man. Like, so I had to make it from like downtown out to like I think we were going over Queensboro Bridge, because our other hotel was out on that side. So we didn't know how far that was. But yeah, dude, the traffic and people they don't give two shits. I kid you not. Like, I'm on my own lane, right? I'm just going straight. And then you see these taxis and these other cars, like, no signal, nothing. They just like pull right in front of you, almost clipping the corner of your car. And it's like, dude, this is a rental, man. Yeah. It's like, come on. I gotta pay for the damages.
So then, Zane, for you, Did you ever experience? Well, you did say you had to run from some shootings, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, it depends. My brother and we were just walking, and then one day there's just a lot of shootings just like by the store, and I was like, wow. I was like, oh shit. Like, but I wasn't like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I know. When you live in a certain neighborhood, when you live where there's violence, like I said previously before, it's going to harden you up. It's going to get to the point where like it may desensitize you. Like, oh,
right.
okay,
so, jaded, right?
Right, and you're like, oh, you just got shot or somebody got shot. It was like someone actually got shot in Rogers Park, on the west side of Loyola, the campus. If you guys didn't hear about that
recently,
like somebody just got shot a couple of days ago, and some people like, oh my god. I was like, oh well.
There's
another day in Chicago.
Yeah.
But when shootings like that happen, or when things like that happen, though, in our body, it's the fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And some people like me, or some people in the neighborhood, we just go walk, like it's a normal day, and then continue our business. Mm-hmm. That's just how it is. Mm-hmm.
Did you lose any friends or family to
gun
violence?
I lost a lot of friends. Yeah. I've lost so many friends. It's not. If I can give you the obituaries, it'd probably be like a 2-page chapter.
Damn.
Of just how you write a book. That's how many friends I lost.
Damn.
And when it comes to that, I think that made me stronger because I wanted to see something happen differently. I'm like, everyone is out here, dying, or everyone's out here, for something that they don't even know. And the truth be told, there's some, this whole gang thing or this whole thing, it's not even where it is, and most people don't even know what they're fighting for. So when I, let's just say wake up or be, aware of what's going on, a lot of the problems, they could be, negated or just not happen, due to certain things. I don't know if you guys, how you guys handle, loss, but, for some people, we just suck it up and keep moving.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said before, my grandma just passed away, right? So for me, it was like, in my head, I already knew, like, that's just life, right? It's gonna happen. And I mean, I was talking to Eric before, shout out to Eric, the acupuncturist, but he's very into Zen and, the Buddhist philosophy, and he said to not, fear death or question it or be curious about it, just think about it. Think about death on a daily basis. It's fine. But yeah, man, that's just life. And I don't want to say that when it's your time, it's your time. Like, I feel like sometimes that's not, how do you say, like, not nice to say, right? But how do you feel about that? Like, there's a higher being, and it's like, if it's your time, it's your time. You've done your deed, and
I feel about it. I mean, like you said, in Islam, though, we do believe, in a higher spirit, that there's one God, but Allah. Mm-hmm. And, death does come in ways where, it's going to expect you. But also, I look at, Buddha or Confucianism. I do look at a lot of other cultures in the East, and I do, study that. And, it's like karma or yin yang.
Yeah, karma.
Where, yin yang, where, that might, be where, let's just say you go kill someone. Yeah. Well, you're gonna get killed in a tragic way as well, and that's just how the hierarchy or order or balance of life is. Yeah. It's to keep things in the universe, or whoever created this mess, keep this a balance or afloat, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Were you always this spiritual?
Yes, and I mean, many people acknowledge that. Many people acknowledge like you're very spiritual and very in tune, because it's very your body, your mind. You have to always check up on your body, because if you're not right, or if you're not mentally, physically or emotionally, in tune, it can affect your work, your school, your relationships and jobs. So we see a lot of Americans, like one of the major things you see in America is obesity.
Yeah.
That's affecting on a national scale. And I think, you see a lot of people be stressed out, eating unhealthy, just doing, a lot of unhealthy, necessary things. And it's being aware of who you are as a person. It will make it a lot better in accepting yourself.
Yeah, I agree. But that's just crazy, though. It's like, the whole idea of like crap, I lost my train of thought. But like just, but what were we talking about again? Death, spirituality, and yeah. So like, what am I going for? Yeah, the whole idea of like death and everything like that coming naturally. It's like, for me originally, how I handled it too was like I was very emotional and everything like that. Like when I was younger and everything like that, and then when my grandfather passed away, I think 2013. I forgot what year it was. Crap, that's bad. But yeah, it was like 2013. Yeah, it was just not. I was lost for a little bit of time, right? And then I just had to suck it up, and I'm like, you know what? I have to keep moving, you know?
Yeah.
And I just kept moving and moving and moving.
Was that?
This is where I'm at now.
Did you start feeling hardened after the first loss?
That was actually at an early age. So I experienced it at a very, very early age. I lost a life. So psychologically, and just emotionally, mentally, I had to like, hey, Roger that. That in the military, that's how it is. Roger that, and just keep it on moving. There was no no time for grievancy. Right. You had to move on. And not just, for the instance, for a lot of people that live in those type of situations, you just have to keep moving on. Mm-hmm. And, we have to bury that in the deep of us. Mm-hmm. There's no time for grievancy. There's no time for, that, yes, we can go to the funeral. Yes, we can put our condolences. But
you got to move on.
You got to keep moving.
Mm-hmm. And some people would mistake that for, like, not caring. That's not the case.
No.
It's just, you got to keep doing your thing. You got to keep moving forward. And I'm sure the person who passed away would not want you to keep sitting on your ass, right? So
you see, I had a trouble kind of like coming to realization with that with my my grandmother that passed away a few years ago, because like she passed away. Unfortunately, I could have made time to spend more time with her and everything like that, but I didn't make as much of an effort as I should have or I could have, because I was just focusing on school and my own life. Because in the back of my mind, I was like, oh yeah, she's always going to be there. She's always going to be there, And when it came time to her passing, it was like, I felt jaded. Like I had showed no emotion during her wake, during her funeral and everything like that. I was sad, right? I was really sad. And for like a while, for the longest time, I was like, do I just not care? Or is that just me like burying the hatchet and understanding that, she's gone and just moving on with life?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And then, so when did you start Demonize, the organization Demonize?
So I started Demonize in late 2016, 2017. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Demonize Industry. So that's spelled DEMOTIZE on Facebook. And, my Instagram is, hashtag @Demonize. So that's it. But I started Demonize in 2016 and early 2017 as a way to basically, bring people together with, music. At that time, I was very interested into the music, into, the video scene. And so me and a group of my guys, and we're like, hey, let's just go out here and Demonize. And let's just get people. If you guys ever hear of that Eric Andre show, if you guys know anything about that, I got a lot of my inspiration from Eric Andre, because he's like the guy who just does like crazy stuff. He's like wacky stuff out the area, and everyone's like, oh my god, he was out there in New York just doing things like that, like nightmare. He would just mess with the celebrities, and I would be like, all right, well, I like that. I like this guy. I'm gonna take some inspiration from him.
Just go crazy.
Yeah, and my goal was to show people like, hey, you can express yourself in whatever way you do. It doesn't have to be so-called, the positive thing, but if it was an outlet to basically say, hey, you can express yourself in this space or this area at a certain time with us to see about the world. No one isn't here to judge you. No one isn't here to give you a bad light. And I had guys who love that, and just we wanted to basically show like the youth, which is our concern, which is my concern, and the people that, hey, you guys can do this. You guys don't have to. There's good in the hood. There's good people out there who want to do good things. And so we use that as a way to inspire ourselves with, music or media. We dabble with art too as well, but, my guy, he went off to college, so as much as that.
Okay. So is it still going? Is the organization still there?
It's still going, but at my focus right now, I want to get my own personal goals, such as the military and other things going off. And so once I've established that in the platform, then I would continue on that project. But right now, it's not really the biggest thing is right now.
Yeah. Are you ready for the military? When you leave in April, right?
Yeah, I leave April, man. I'm ready, man. 92 Yankee, hoorah! Army, man. I can't wait, man. I'm ready for the Army, man.
Oh, man. Damn. And how long is boot camp? It's like...
So BCT is like about 11 weeks. It's 11 weeks.
Okay.
So there's red phase, white phase, and blue phase.
Damn.
And then you go off to 8 weeks into your AIT, which is like your job, specific. So that'll be about 3-4 months.
Damn.
That's wild,
crazy.
Man. So what inspired you to choose that route?
The military.
Yeah.
What inspired me, man, was I love the military. I've loved that as an early kid. I love reading, I've read about, the Marine Corps. I read about the Army. I read about the battles, in Vietnam and Korea. I read about, those challenges the guys had to do and the sacrifices in Iraq, the special forces. And, when I was at 3 years old, and so I vividly remember this, but I remember this in my brain. And I just saw the Marine Corps, commercial, and you see the guy, he has, the few, the proud, the Marines. He has the sword, the bayat. He's the saber. He's like, whew.
You're like, I'm sold, bro.
And I was like, all right, this is for me, man. I'm like, ah.
Oh, man.
Advertising.
That's like some professional advertising.
It's simple.
Yeah, I remember. I used to see that commercial almost every single day. Just watching TV as a kid growing up. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, to see you drawing inspiration from your childhood and everything like that, and pursuing something that has been on your mind since you were a kid is really awesome, right? It's because you're really going after those dreams, regardless of what people say and everything like that, and you're just doing it for one fulfillment of your own passions, as well as kind of doing it on the side note just for our country. Thank you. Just say thank you again for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys, man. Respect.
For the military, does the Army go in first or does the Marines go in first?
So it's really the way how it goes is SOF. So those guys are the CIA. I mean, I can break this down to you guys, but SOF is the guys who are CIA, and then the guys who got the beards, they go in, they do reconnaissance, basically go kill the guys,
right?
And then he goes in, with the Navy, because the Navy attachments, then it gets the Army the second, but mostly it's the guys who in the Special Forces, Rangers, Delta Force, Navy SEAL, those
they
guys.
Go first.
They go in first, and their mission is to go kill the bad guys,
right?
And make sure a lot of those guys get in, and then it starts off with the other attachments, and so it's really structure and how it gets down.
I was thinking about the general in Iran that got blown up.
Yeah.
You heard about that, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You're just chilling with your homies, driving in the Jeep, and then boom, drone. Just like that. That's insane, bro.
I know, man.
It goes just like that.
That really just shows you, too, how fragile life really is.
You think you felt anything?
It probably was so instant, man. He was
cooked.
Yeah, he probably was barbecued.
Yeah. But it's just crazy, though. It's just like that, right? It's in an instant, you can be hanging out, talking, and then just be gone. It's just the wildest thing.
Yeah, man.
Life is so fragile.
He's probably man, I just had this long meeting with the boys. I'm going to go home, take a nap. That's fucked. That's fucked.
Hey, but I mean, he was very loved though and respected.
He was.
People
loved him.
There was two sides of the story. He was good, and he also was behind some attacks or something like that against the U.S. But
come on.
That's the game, though.
That's the game how it is, though. But when you kill a general like that, that's almost war.
No, that's declaration of we're not in good terms and we're going to war.
Yeah.
I don't know what the update
there's
is
no
now,
ifs, ands, or buts about that. You see, that's the thing. It's going back to the whole news and stuff like that. It's like that was such a big thing in the beginning of the year, and then now it's like it just got blown under the radar, and then now the big thing is the coronavirus, which is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, watch out.
Right.
That shit.
It's like news comes and goes so fast, even though it's like such a big thing. It's a big thing, right? No matter what, no matter which way you look at it, it's a big thing that, you know, the actions that America took against its general.
Yeah.
And we're suffering the consequences now. And yet, the continuation of the story of what's going on is like just swept under that rug.
Yep. That's how it is.
And then on to the next big thing, the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. That's why I stopped focusing so much on that stuff as best as I can, because I just want to focus on my mission. Just keep going straight. Otherwise, you have all these things that, you know,
Sidetrack you.
Yeah, and social media plays a lot of that, man. Social media does a lot of that. Like, I remember when people were just making memes, like, about the internet. Right? A lot of people in the military that I talked to, they really didn't like that. They're like, okay, you guys are full of shit. Most of them guys wouldn't be like really qualified to go because a lot of them are on the narcotics, they're on drugs, they're unfit, they're lazy. So like, I said to somebody like, I don't know, would I feel confident with you guys on the battlefield with me like that?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what do you mean the OGs in there said you're full of shit?
Like there was guys in the military that I was talking to, and they were like, these guys are full of shit. They don't understand how war is. You know, because war, it's not really game. It's not a game. It's like life and death, and like people were just
you'll respawn in your base later.
That's not gonna happen, man. It's like, what's that one movie that Tom Cruise was in? Every time he fucked up, he would his partner would just shoot him in the head, and he would.
Oh, that was a good movie, but I forget what it was called. Reacher? I don't know. But yeah, you were saying.
That's messed up though. It's like all these memes and everything like that just being thrown out there to make fun of what's potentially gonna happen.
Yeah, that wasn't. A lot of people didn't like. A lot of people who were in the military didn't like that. They're like, "Oh, you guys aren't out there doing that. You guys, you know, like when people's parents. I mean, the parents like, well, you know, this is my son and my daughter doing this. You're not doing that." And that was a defense, you know, to a lot of people that I talked to. You know, and it's like, no.
Is your goal still to stay in the military for 11 years?
Yeah, my goal is still to stay in for 11 years.
Why 11 specifically?
I mean, 11 years, man, because I want to go Army and Marines. So I want to get a bulk of that interest. You know, I want to see two different fields because the Army is very different. It's like your dad. The Army is like your dad. The Marine Corps is like your drunken uncle.
Oh shit!
So it's like it's night and day with those two.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like the drunken uncle who comes on the barbecue like, Timmy, you just didn't. Oh, fuck, man, I didn't just see you like that. It's like that, and the Army's like, okay, we'll take care of you like our dad.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
I never thought about it like that. That's pretty interesting to see it.
Would you ever go into like a special force?
Yeah, I want to go Rangers, but I want to go Rangers or I want to do recon.
Okay.
And those guys are like the top of the cream, and just the mentality. Like you got to already have like what I was told, and what I was told from somebody actually from the 82nd Airborne Division is that you gotta have a mentality like this is what you want to do. You know, those guys are out there like 2 below with, you know, their PT workouts and swimming and just doing insane shit that just normal people wouldn't do. That would just break them.
Rangers is the equivalent to SEALs, right?
No, Rangers is like the equivalent of a regular Marine infantry unit.
Oh, okay.
But they're still good. They still get shit done, though.
Yeah, right. I mean, I would assume everyone gets their shit done, one way or another.
Right.
Dang. Yeah, because you see the book right there, Blackwater. I was like getting into that, like the SEAL teams that turn into PMCs, private military.
You're right.
Yeah. Do you know anything about them?
Yeah, I heard about them. I heard about Blackwater.
Yeah. They play kind of dirty.
And a lot of people don't like, you know, private military contractors because, you know, they don't really have, you know,
they don't have a country.
They don't have a country or an allegiance. Like, hey, we're mercenaries. We can do what the fuck we want to do.
But it's scary though, because like if you think about it, a lot of those like the dirty work or a lot of the kind of like major catastrophes or major issues that are going around the world are actually being like the contracts are actually being handed off to like these PMCs.
Yeah.
You know, which is really scary.
Yeah.
It's also like a way for the government to be like, oh, I'm not getting my hands dirty. You guys do the job for me. But you know, I think of it as like these groups are needed to get the super dirty stuff done.
Right.
Right.
I mean, also you gotta also think about like corporations and corporate interests as well. A lot of those guys, like there was an incident where actually like Blackwater, there was actually back in 2003 where they were accused of raping someone.
Oh really?
Yeah, they were accused of raping people, and a lot of people were like, well, they can't really be charged, to international crime because they, like you said previously, they don't have
a country.
It's the highest bidder, of the dollar.
Damn.
So. That that questions a lot of people, but at the same time though, like you said, hey, it's like the guys who don't want to do the the nitty gritty, nasty stuff and get their hands dirty, just like the mafia,
right. They still run a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the mafia. They still even own the concrete, man.
I'm just gonna back off on that one.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So. Would you recommend a bunch of so like amongst your friends and your community, would you recommend them to? Let me backtrack. What advice would you give them?
As far as what?
Trying to stay on a mission.
I would say know what you want to do. First, you gotta have a desire of what you want to do.
Yeah. And
then you have to plan and assess it and be very realistic about what you want to do, and just just go for it. Because, as I always say, it's not going to be the easiest thing you want to do. It's never going to be the most pleasant thing you want to do. And a lot of people want to take, just the easy route. For me getting into the military now, it took about 3 years, man. I had to go through a lot of different things, legal and just a lot of mojo, and that wasn't just, like a lot of people all right, fuck it. It was just like, all right, cool, throw my hands up, I'm done, and just went to work or went to college.
Yeah.
But it's perseverance. It's having grit, and that's something I really don't see in a lot of people nowadays. They just lose focus. They get caught up into other people's goals. But know what you want to do in life. Know what you want to do with. Don't let your parents. Don't let your mom. Don't let your girlfriend. Don't let your family. Because ultimately you're going to create your own legacy. You're going to do something for your own children.
It's your life.
Exactly. And so staying committed to that is the main thing, as I would say to people.
Did your parents support everything that you did?
Yeah, they support everything I do.
That's good.
Awesome.
Yeah. What was I going to say? And how about like moving out at a young age?
At first they didn't, but I've told them like, hey, this is what I want to do. And they accepted that.
At 15 though, correct?
Yeah. It's not the easiest.
Yeah. So like that's what I was gonna say. Like, how did that kind of like transpire? Like being 15 and then just telling your parents, yeah, I'm gonna live my own.
Because like at that time I was living in a neighborhood that, like I said, I really didn't like, and I was like, all right, cool, I gotta do what I gotta do. I want to see something better for myself. I want to do something, that's rebel against that way of action, and typically people leaving at that age at 15, like what?
You never hear that.
You don't hear people doing that shit.
You're just a freshman in high school,
right? Well, I was like a sophomore.
Sophomore. Yeah.
How many jobs did you work? How did you pay for rent?
Man, for legal reasons, I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
But let's just say that I got it done, and I just put in that work in business, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing, but there's a lot of kids out there, that in Chicago, they're in the same boat, they're in the same situation,
they are.
And their parents, they like, all right, I'm tired of this shit. I don't want to do it with my mom or dad, so they'll, either get kicked out or they'll, either move out themselves, and then either they turn to crime or they turn to do stuff do side jobs and take less pay for what they have to do.
You just hustle, man.
Yeah
because that's another thing. Going back to the crime thing, like, would you say being in a gang is a choice?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think being in a gang is a choice. You don't have to be in a gang. I mean, you personally, I think I'm my own gang. I mean, you're your own, you know.
Gang of one?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, when they join gangs, it's typically for, you know, the lack of, you know, men in the household. You know, it's usually, you know,
no role models, right?
No role models. And so a lot of people turn to that because, you know, they see, you know, no masculine or positive energy in there. Mm-hmm. So typically the games are kind of the substitute for that. The streets are substitute that. But now it's like, it's not really the 70s and 80s no more. So like, you know, all that, because the gangs back then, even including the mafia, till this day, in certain gangs, still to this day, they had a principle. They had a code. Right. You had to abide by that code, or, you know, if you didn't abide by that code, you know, you might not be coming home tonight.
Yeah.
You know? And so I don't really see that as more of a problem with use or substances being a part of that.
So what's the problem then?
The problem is like you have a lot of emotionalism, and you have no leadership in these gangs because, you know, the FBI and, you know, a lot of other internal or external affairs destroy the gangs and destroy the principality. Because believe it or not, though, like, for example, the Italian mafia is, you know, they're still running around. But I mean, you just can't go around, you know, in the Italian mafia, or even in, you know, I know there's a couple of, you know, Asian gangs or mafias around here. You know, you can't do certain things in their community without, you know, paying out money or doing certain in retrospect. That's just how the game is. That's how the way it works. Now you have a lot of these cats out here, you know,
the young ones, right?
Yeah, just attention horn, causing attention, beating up on random people, and you know. You don't do in the old days you couldn't do that shit. You would get your ass beat up like, hey, what the fuck you doing?
Consequences.
Right. And you're attracting attention from the police, you know, police is, if the police is around, that's messing up business, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. So then with that said, I think, what is one advice aside from what we were like kind of discussed, like what's one advice living your life right now you would leave, like either yourself in the past or just, you know, for our listeners and our viewers, you know, kind of in the same boat, trying to like figure themselves out, right? Whether if they want to kind of pursue their passions or if they want to, like, you know, go from one job to another job and stuff like that.
Don't be afraid to do it. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to do it. I would tell people that. Don't be afraid to do it, because you have a lot of people who are peer pressured. I see that a lot in our era. People are peer pressured to do things like, hey, you know, just do this, just do this. You know, and you know that sometimes that peer pressure is strong.
Very strong.
It's strong to the point like, oh shit, if I don't do it. But sometimes, you know, or most of the time, as I say, you gotta walk alone. You gotta be, if everyone is going, you know, west, you go east.
Yeah.
You go the opposite way. You go the opposite way, and you just don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter. Yes, that's the thing that's going to build character. That's the thing that's going to build, you know, define you as a person, and learning to accept yourself and not giving a fuck what people think.
Yeah.
Because truth be told, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I get ridiculed still to this day. I still get, oh, you're just trying to do something different, or you just think you're better than somebody. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just doing a different route to get where I'm at. And that's what you got to do. No matter what, you know, what you want to accomplish in life, go for it, and don't be afraid. Because the people who are successful, the people who are on top, those are the people who be uncomfortable, and they just go against the grain. You know, they don't get along with the program. They do the opposite. Like, all right, fuck this, I'm gonna do something else. And
awesome.
That's what Warren Buffett, that's what all Bill Gates,
all
that's
the big guys.
That's all what the big champions did.
Yeah.
Man.
They did something different. They went against the grain, and look where they're at now, right?
Billions.
That's true.
Dude, I'm waiting for the day you come out the military and you become one of those motivational speakers. Yo, you've got that in you, man. That potential in you. I'm waiting for that day.
That'd be dope.
I'll be like, yo, he's on stage, TED Talk. That's my boy. That's my boy Zane.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Any last plugs you want to give out?
Oh man, just appreciate it. Thank you guys. I really support this. Like these two guys here, you got it. These guys they're doing the work. They're doing the work. They're doing the work.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta give them their props.
Thank you. All right. In that case, to our listeners, don't forget to give us our rating, our 5-star rating, and leave a review on our Apple Podcasts. We're on all platforms, right? Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Just search us up, The Eating Cast. We're Chicago based. We're talking a lot of good stuff. We're having these conversations with locals. And everyone has a story to share. Yeah, bridging communities through dialogues. That's what we're about. And once again, thank you for continuing listening, because this is season 3 and we never expected